All right. Hey, Zeus.
How we doing?
How's it going?
Great morning, dude.
Yes, dude.
Hey, is it
Blessed
Monday?
morning.
Monday again?
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I can't.
Sometimes I don't even really want to know about the days. It's just what you do through in the days.
Yeah.
That was what matters.
Yeah. I knew I had to come do this after our experience a couple weeks ago. I needed to come get some more content for my personal brand aside my podcast, but I appreciate you guys, kind of letting me come in and do what we need to do. But yeah, today I want to talk about something that is in your wheelhouse and in my wheelhouse.
That's good.
And I want to talk about content today. And I want to talk about video content. I want to get your, 2 cents on and expertise about content, because you guys, that's what you guys do here.
Yes. Indeed.
Right. So, first and foremost, a lot of people talk to me about, and what I put a lot in my marketing, is talking about content strategy and why that's important for entrepreneurs, businesses, personal, professional brands, whatever. In your words, what does content strategy mean to you?
You know what? Content strategy is very important. I just figured that out from a couple of our clients, that sometimes you put some people in here, and when you don't have a strategy, it won't go well because it's all over the place. So it's better to have something pre-written, bullet points or something that they can understand what they can go about, what are they going to talk about, or what is the name of the podcast, or what kind of video production they're going to need. Because if you just go for it, a podcast is a little bit different because you got to be real, raw, and everything.
Yeah.
But if it's a podcast that there's going to be more edits, and it has to be a strategy on it, from intro, outro, from the middle. It's like kind of making a movie. We got to make sure that everything is set there. Because if not, either ourselves going to be like, not mad, we're like, this doesn't make sense. And then the client is going to be mad at you because they're like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Why didn't y'all tell me about this? The thing that about strategy and stuff like that, sometimes you got to put it in the packet, like when you're charging. And sometimes they want to take that out because they think it's too much. But without it, we tell them up front that without this, it's just going to be like, it's up to you, how it's going to look. We're still going to do the best of the best.
Right.
But no strategy. Hey.
Yeah. So for me, I think strategy boils down to one word, and that word is why. Why are we making what we're making? And why are we releasing it or distributing it in the manner or fashion that we are? What I have come to realize is that content strategy has a lot of moving parts, right? Like you've got the long form video. You even have I like to call it mid form. Some people still refer to it as long form, like a 2 or 3 minute
segments,
clip up of something,
those.
Right?
Yes.
Because those still are great for the awareness stage where you get fed, like on YouTube algorithms, for example, right? And then you have the vertical clip stuff, which is great for just that scrolling and the initial discovery of somebody's, personal brand or even professional brand.
That's true.
And what I'm seeing a lot more nowadays is that consumers are, and when I say consumers, I mean consumers of content, right? They are much more aligning themselves with personal brands than a professional brand.
That's true.
Right? I don't know how that is for you guys and your clients in the podcast, world of what you do, but what do you see in that landscape as far, because we talk about, because business to business is what we're in.
Yeah. B2B.
Right? Like we really want to work with business owners for a particular reason. But have you ever had, or have you had those tough conversations with people where they're like, they kind of want to hide behind that brand and not put like so much personality in the content?
Yeah, there's a lot of other people, like I say, we want business to business, but we do have a couple of clients that they are a business. I tell them, you are a business, even though you think that you're not, even though you're a coach or not, you're still a business.
Right.
So they come in and like, they might be a little bit of afraid, not of the cameras, but like how to build more of their personal brand. Or like sometimes people get confused, like personal brand and then business brand. It's like, you are everything. You are the personal brand.
Yeah.
If people got to know you,
then
the business is the easy part. Oh, like me, the real Jesus Ortiz, they know I come from Panorama Brand Studio.
Right.
And not the other way around. Panorama Brand Studio. Who's behind? Is that Miguel or Jesus?
Right. Yeah, for me, what I've noticed is that the personal side of things pushes to the professional and the business brands. Like a lot of people that I'm trying to work with more of in 24 is insurance agents, right? So a lot of insurance agents, they fall into 2 categories. They either work for some State Farm agency, an Allstate agency, whatever kind of agency they might work for, or they might be the agency owner and maybe kind of a one-man show, one-woman show, or whatever. But when they maybe want to make content or something like that, they really are just focused on their business and not like themselves and how their personal experience works in helping their clients. And I think that's where the disconnect is. That's that true. They need to focus more on their own opinions about things and their own stories about things. And that is what will entice people to, pick up the phone and call Julia over at Allstate because they saw all of her content or her podcast or whatever, and not hiding behind that big monolith.
Yes,
right?
Very true. It's funny because I remember back in even with Panorama, I tried to hit like the State Farm people. And it was kind of hard to get them because they are with State Farm. Mm-hmm. So it was like, we
kind of have control over their marketing.
Yeah, but they really like what I was pushing up front.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, some of them were like solo ones. So they're like, well, person A and B might be able to do it, even though they're under State Farm, but they can do like short form video. They can do this. But if we want to go bigger, we have to get permission from State Farm.
Well, what I boil that down to is, that's why I say, don't hide behind the brand. Yes. You hide behind the you can be an insurance agent for State Farm and work for them and make content for yourself, have a podcast and whatever, and not even mention the word State Farm one time.
At all.
And they have no control over, because if you don't disparage their brand in any way, there's nothing bad. And I think that's what a lot of people think is going to happen, is they think that it's like, it's going to come back on me if I say something wrong. And we're in this PC culture where you can't like really say what you want to say sometimes. Obviously it'll get you in trouble here and there. But that's what I see a lot of people kind of saying no to in talks when I have talks with them. Like, would you want to do content like this for yourself? Like, what do you see? And a lot of people, that's what I've learned too, is talking to people. You can't ask them what they want because they don't know what they want.
They don't.
They don't know what they want at all.
They don't.
Right. And that's kind of that's where I think we become more valuable in selling what we do by diagnosing their problem and having them understand, like, this is what you need to go from here to here and get where you want to be with content.
Because we're the experts, so we know what they need. Just like right now, just before we started, we closing a new client, so he didn't know anything. So I just listened.
Yeah.
And then after I listened, I just kind of built something for him. He's like, that's what I want. But that's as a business owners, a lot don't listen. I've seen a lot of new ones and even old ones, and in the middle, they just want to close the deal. But you got to listen to them because sometimes they don't even know anything. When you listen, you can actually create something for them. Something maybe not too big, but something in the middle that it can start to get the foot in the door.
Right.
Then while they're here, they're going to see like, I want green screen. I want this. Okay, now I can customize something like this.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah, it happens to me a lot too. Like, people will come and they'll be like, I have this idea for this thing that I want to do for like my bit. And I'm like, okay. And the question I always ask them, but then what?
And then what?
What do you do with it? You post it on your Facebook page, your Instagram, your TikTok, and then what? What happens after that? How do you keep that ball and that momentum rolling with that project that you have? And then when you come up with like a package or a service for them, they're like, oh, okay. Sometimes they get scared away by price and stuff like that, because what we do is not inexpensive by any means with the way that we go about it. Could we cut corners and make more with less, I guess? Sure, but that's not why we got into this business, I don't think. So...
No, indeed.
But so I'll ask you right now, because you ingest a lot of content as well. So what do you see right now that is working for businesses more on the content side?
I know that you and I know that we see a lot of short form video, and I know that it's working. But now I see that everybody's doing it. But even though if you're still doing it, some people still not hitting the points, the hook point, the middle and the end. You can create a 20-minute second and grab the attention of somebody that you just said. Someone's going to grab the phone and call Julia.
Yeah.
But everybody's trying to repeat it, but it's okay because it's not working for them because they just see that everybody's doing it and they're following the train. But it's like a strategy. Like, you do it. You sit down and see what you're going to talk about. That's what it is. And you got to do that. Sometimes you have it in you, sit down, record, and it comes out normal. But sometimes you do got to strategize and make sure that, because you want to call it call to action. So you just not want to waste your time and do content and be like, damn, 3 months happened. Then you look at your videos and you're like, oh man, I know why now. I just sit down and blabber everything. No,
Sure.
it has to make sense.
Sure. No,
But now I have a feeling that what we call the segments, like 2-3 minute, I think that's coming back. And that's
with TikTok likes it too.
Yeah, like, and that's gonna help a lot of people, because now that you throw a 20-30 second short, now you're having a mid 3, 4, even to 5 minutes clip segments. People are gonna be like, you grabbed them and hooked them. Where's that podcast? Now they can find you on YouTube, subscribe to you, and ask you questions, see what you do.
Yeah. So out of the content that you ingest and you see working for businesses, do you think if a business was going to go in only on one specific type of content, would it be like talking head stuff like we're doing right now? Is it the trendy viral approach? Like, what do you think serves better here in early 24?
Early 24. It's to me still the short form video.
Yeah.
That's still on it, number one. But like I said, you still got to make sure that the content is right. It has to be raw, but that it makes sense to the other person that is watching on the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I have this weird, like, I don't do enough of, like, trend stuff. Like, so those, like, short, like, I see a lot on Instagram, right? Like, those short, very aesthetic-driven videographer, like, you know, where maybe my rig is being built right in front, and it's, like, a top-down shot.
Oh,
and,
yes.
like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't do enough of that just because I know what goes into production. And, like, even shooting something like that, that can take 2 or 3 hours, depending on how many angles you want and all of that. And it's like, I just don't have time to do that kind of stuff. But I get some people that approach me and they're like, I want stuff like this. But then when I give them price around, you know, making all that happen, and they don't have an understanding of why it's going to serve them, they immediately say no. So it's kind of like, you know, that's why in 24, I'm restructuring some of my packages just a little bit to kind of fit what I think is most bang for the buck in his terms of like how much you get. Because I think there's a happy medium between quantity and quality of the content that you can put out a huge mass amount of quantity, but if it's not good, then it doesn't matter. But you can't just post one video a month and expect
that something,
you know what I mean? Happen. Even if it was like a banger video, like you can't just have one or a couple. Like you have to have this nice middle flow. And I think I figured out what it is. And with my podcast and stuff like that coming out soon, like we're gonna
ramp up.
See if that. Well, let's just see if it holds water to what I believe is gonna happen. Like with the amount that we're putting out, right? So hopefully, what I have forecasted does work, because it's what I'm basing a lot of my new model off of.
There's something that I'm seeing though right now that is coming back to just creating content with no edits. I don't know if you've seen some of that guy that does exercise. I forgot what his name. He has like a YouTube and Instagram. No edits at all. It's just truly him going to the gym on the phone or a camera, but there's no edit, and everything he's just uploading into YouTube, and he has a lot of views on it. So I've been seeing that. That's what I've been consuming right now. Yeah. I love the things that are coming up. They're talking about him. Like he's the attention now. And now everybody's like, see, we are trying to make a banger video, but look at him. Yeah. What is the difference that he's not even editing nothing, uploading like how it is, and he has a big follower and people starting to love him. Yeah. So it's depending on, I guess, on the situation, on how you do it, and you just kind of like believe on you and go for it. But consistently. Yeah. And then it will work. Yeah, that's what I've been seeing. A lot of different people on socials have been saying, like the highly edited stuff doesn't seem to be doing as well anymore like it was the last, 2 years or so. And I kind of agree with them. I mean, I've seen it a little bit in my own content, and I've had talks with my editor like, hey man, I want to go back to a little bit more of a simple. Like, you want to cut out all of the pauses and you want to cut all that stuff out if you're doing like intentional short form sit down stuff or whatever, but I don't need a million things popping up over my shoulder every 2 seconds. I don't need all of that all the time. You lose people now. Yeah, I think so too. I think they look at it and they're like, this is just like overly produced, and it's not raw enough. Like, obviously there's again, happy medium to keeping their attention, but like genuinely keeping their attention. But the young people, like the generation, they love that. Yeah. What I say to that is like,
they're not my target demographic.
No, the same with us.
I
That's
don't
not.
care.
Yeah,
I don't really care at all.
it's
Like
us is business. They have the money. They can pay for it, and it's a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
They like it because they see it everywhere, but they don't have. They won't be able to pay for
Right.
it.
Right.
Unless it's the young ones that are making money already, 6-7 figures, then it's different.
So I know that a lot of what you guys do here is a lot of, podcasting, primarily live streaming stuff. But you guys do other like kind of projects as well. Like you guys will go outside and do event coverage, stuff like that. What goes into more of what you guys do here?
I just recently came back. I went to Abilene, Texas. So we went to shoot out some footage over there. And that was great. Yeah. And me and Miguel have done Marshall Dimes as well.
Oh, okay.
So we've done a lot of video production on the side that they hire us in to go that.
Right.
And that's a little bit different too, because it's not like the podcast. The differentiality of the prices, they're more up. Yeah. There's more stuff because you got to go over there.
You got to prep for it. There's a lot more that goes into it. A lot more. For sure.
But I always tell people as well with the podcast, there's other people that want to do it at home or stuff. It's still prep because we got to bring these lights and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the same price as you coming in here.
Right.
It's going to be more and stuff. Yeah. And it's good because now you have a realm, like I told me, we pivot on different ways, but it's still on the video side. Like now we're getting a lot of demand with the green screen because we started doing a little bit, me and him, videos here and there. Now we're getting demand from the people that own liquor and stuff. So now we're getting a lot of demand on that. Like yesterday I was at the party and I was already making, I have a meeting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then he's from Mexico. And then I have somebody else from Houston. And then a whiskey guy in Katy. So all of these people that I knew before, I was like, let me get back to them because now there's the demand with the green screen. And they going to see it and they're going to want it. They already saw it. And they're like, we want that. And I made a video a couple of days ago and I said, green screen is not new. It's old. Oh. But the technology that it makes it better is now than what it was back then. That you just sit down and
it's a lot easier to do now.
Yes,
in essence, with some of the editing.
And it's not hard. Like I was telling Miguel, we can create a podcast on the green screen. We don't have to use the 3 cameras. We could just use 1 camera, the light and everything professional, and you can have up to 2 people. Something simple that can gather people, and it's a demand. And then you create your own demand,
right?
And then they're going to come to you and then it just spreads out to there. Because I don't see a lot of people in the studio around here that they're doing podcasts on the green screen. Yeah. Everybody's doing it just like this.
Yeah. I think it's personal preference, right? It also depends on how well it's done too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because there's bad green screen and there's good green screen. Right?
Oh, definitely.
If the person doing it for you is not up to par to do it, then, I think that usually is why people will have their preference that they have. But here at Panorama Brand, I mean, you guys is kind of content retainers, or like, are most of your clients just kind of like a need by need basis?
No, we have both. We have the people that come in and they pay once and they come in, but they come in consistently, but they're not as a retainer. Yeah. But we have some that they're already being signed with us for 6 months.
Sure.
They have a contract and they're already retainers.
You guys prefer that?
Now I was talking to Miguel that I like both now because now I can actually have a volume of the people that come in.
Yeah.
So that's good money. Say I got 6 people coming in today and they paid this amount of money. Yeah. They're in and out, same day delivery video. Now we got some money coming in. Yeah. And then we're already building the ones that we have already here as a contracts. And then we just uplit and build more of this. So now we got leverage. Yeah. We're leveraging this because we know this money's coming in. And we're leveraging this because money's coming in that, hey, dude, we need this, we need this waters. Yep. So we're leveraging, how can we expand a little bit? So it's a game of volume and a game of like, this one's like, well, the price is going to be higher, but at least I know they're there.
Right.
And they want to come back. Yeah. And that we make it as they're here and they feel like we're family.
Yeah. Yeah, for me too. I mean, most of what my business is centered around is being on a minimum of 3-month retainer. Just because I don't see content, inside of 90 days, you don't really know if you were to continue making this kind of content, does it still work for you? Right. And that's why a lot of people, when they come to me with like those, I got an idea to do whatever. That's why the conversation quickly transforms into, how do you sustain it? How do you keep it going? And then that's where that diagnosis process comes in. And I have kind of more authority in the space to be able to diagnose, because when you ask somebody, what do you do with it? I don't know. You tell me.
You
right?
tell me,
like,
right?
So,
yeah, you tell me.
But yeah, I mean, I'm working on some new content packages and stuff, and
it's good. We're doing the same thing.
Hopefully we can maybe even collaborate on some more work together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think you guys could definitely help me out, where I can also benefit you guys.
And now the other thing that I see too, like not only for us as business, but for other, like we already have the retainers and the people that are coming, and we make it harder. Like, hey, we already have people that they can refer to us.
Right.
And sometimes we make it harder on us. So like, let me go and find some. It's good because you got to find new ones. But like the ones that you already haven't even like talked to them and sit down. They might know somebody else, or they might have 2-3 people already. Because I just did it yesterday while I was at the party, and they're like, "Yeah, man, we know somebody. Like they really want to start with." I was like, "Man, why didn't I just did that?" But it's okay. Those are the things that you learn and from it. So I know that like whoever you have here, not like squeeze them, but make sure that you talk to them and get referrals from them.
Yeah.
And you can help them out. You'll be like, hey, I'll give you an extra 10 more minutes on your podcast, or whatever it is, it's a video. You can make sure.
So
you
I
was
going to ask, do you guys have a referral system set up to where it's like, because I do, like mine is like, if you send me somebody and they close on $3,500 or more for their package, I'll come do like some short form video for you.
Yeah.
And
we did that, and we're going to start doing it again. At the beginning, we started doing that. I think people were bringing us people in, and we started giving them a 30-minute podcast, and they loved it. And we're going to bring that back because is the demand again. They asked us, he's like, hey, we have a couple of people, but we don't, we just want some time, coming in here. And they come in and maybe shoot out 1 or 2 the same day. And we don't see them probably in the next 3 months because they're, like you said, they're not somebody that's relevant. They just want to come in.
Well, it's kind of like, so like another thing that I do for a lot of my clients is I do the distribution of content as well. I don't know if that's something that you guys do, but that's where like I heighten my value, because like I could hand you all of this content and just say, here you go, and then just turn around and leave. No, but if I can say, oh yeah, no, we get you plugged into my scheduler and I'll post everything for you. You literally have to worry about nothing. Just every day you have consistent content coming out for your business or a personal brand. And that's where I get a lot more of the value in the packages that I offer, because people are just like, yeah, I don't know what to do with everything that you send me. Yeah. So that's what I figured out. Like that's another big pain point for businesses, because they're like, I don't know what to do with all of it.
You're right. You're right.
It's time consuming if you don't know the certain tools to use or whatever to maximize the time. I mean, you're just sitting there with your wheel spinning. Yeah. And that's what I've seen a lot of people have an issue with.
Yeah. I think we're going to bring that back, but we did it at the beginning, and then, we're actually creating different packets now, because we saw that like a lot of people only podcast and they don't see much of the value of it. So now we are actually creating a lot of value in the packet that is not just the podcast. It can be different things that we already have a studio here that they can do, so they can see the value. Oh, I'm getting this, I'm getting that and that. Oh, I'm willing to pay for that. Yeah. I saw that because they're like, well, I'm going to be 3 months or 6 months just doing podcasts. Some of them, they just want to do this. The preference, that's fine. Everybody's different. Yeah. But you want to capture the ones that you want to have a big packet that is 3, 4, 5,000, but there's value in it. That they don't just say, I'm going to pay 5,000 just for a podcast. I don't see the value on that. Right. So now you got to add things. So we're doing that and testing it out and see what the demand's outside,
Yeah. I like to, I've made some content on this. I think I have some more stuff coming out soon, but I like to equate what we do with organic content kind of like insurance, right? Like you don't buy insurance to know that you're going to need it tomorrow, right? True. Like that's the short game, or fraud. Fraud, that's true. Right. But yeah, I look at it like in a year from now, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, imagine if you consistently were releasing video content, what your email inbox would look like over a period of time. Like just people raising their hand, and raising their hand. Because what's the alternative? Running ads? Right? Yeah. And what I figured out is that a lot of people aren't even equipped to do that. Nope. Because the first thing that I asked for people when, running ads, it comes into the conversation is, okay, well, what's your offer? Like, do you have a solidified offer? And a lot of people say like, oh yeah, I mean, well, this is what we do for our service. And I'm like, your service isn't your offer. Service is what you do. Your offer is how you've maximized the value of what it is and how you're able to portray that to somebody as a no-brainer solution.
Yep.
And I like to tell people, I'm growing myself into this now more, is if you don't have a solidified offer, I don't necessarily want to start running ads for you because you're going to make my job a lot harder. Now, could I sit down and come up with an offer with you? Probably. But I'm also finding that a lot of people don't want to spend even money to do that because they think that, oh, I've been in business for 10 years and we've been doing okay. And, maybe there's not a lot of growth, but they're okay. Right. And then you come in, or I come in and kind of rock the boat a little bit on like, okay, well, how are we going to get you more awareness? How are we going to get you more awareness? And they're just like, when I give them the, what's working now, this is how everything's going to be moving in the future. They're kind of like, I just don't see us doing that. And I'm like, well, then I just don't know if you're going to be here in 10 years or, like you might be, but you might still be where you're at now. Yeah. And if inflation happens, you're not making as much money, right? So it's all about future pacing people with content, I think, and making sure that they understand where they're even at in their own business.
Yeah.
Because I don't sign on clients who are sinking ships.
Oh, no.
No. I did that once and I was like, yeah, this is like, because at the end of the day, if I didn't make it work for them, I got to tell their kids they can't eat, or like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and I didn't want to put myself in that, or put my mind in that, like, man, if I don't make it work, I'm failing this person and this, that, and the other. And, you should have a little bit of that in doing what we do, because we want this stuff, this content to translate into money for our clients. Yep. But it's all about framing them on that time horizon and how long it really does take to do organic, right? There's
decades.
There's another ad situation. I don't know if have you ever heard of the social funnel?
Sounds so familiar.
So I've seen a lot of people run the social funnel. And from my understanding of it, the social funnel is basically creating a lot of content, and the ads that you're running, you're not necessarily running, like, let's take Facebook ads, for example. You're not necessarily running ads to generate a lead or to, try and get somebody's phone number or, sign them up for this thing, right? You're really maybe running like a traffic campaign and sending them to your Instagram or your TikTok, right? And then they get there and they land and they're just engorging all of your content, right? And then if you have your content profile, your profile optimized and you have a link that has like the intro thing, your freebie or whatever it is, that's how you get them into your ecosystem. It's more along that lines of give before you ask for
like
something.
That book, Gary
right?
Vaynerchuk.
And the only one quarrel I have with that is that if I just started running ads for leads, could I generate leads? Yes, I can. So when you run like the social funnel kind of, setup, if you will, sometimes it doesn't look like they're really generating leads because your job with that is to get them to the profile. Right? If they're not taking the action after there, then what do you need to look at? Well, you need to look at the content. Is the content doing enough to get them through and into the ecosystem that you're trying to plug them into? And that's the only issue that I have with it, that it could take a lot longer to get there. But there's peaks and valleys and positives and negatives with everything. And with the social funnel and the way that they're usually ran, you can get a lot of impressions for relatively cheap. You get a lot of link clicks.
That's true.
For relatively cheap if your content's good enough. So that's something that I'm also sort of playing around with myself and everything. Right now, I'm really just mostly focused on organic. I do have a brand awareness campaign like running to some of the content that I do have. So like you might see some of my stuff pop up here and there, but
that's good. You want other people that haven't seen you to see you what you're doing.
Right.
And it does work. I tell people, like, and we need to start running ads again. Like I used to do ads just for myself before me and Miguel, and it worked. Yeah. And like you said, the video works, and the video what you said was working. I was like, don't reinvent it. Keep on doing the same what you were doing and keep on doing.
Yeah.
People just think like, oh, I'm gonna waste $200-$300. You can start you by yourself, like 5-10 a day, and see how it works, and then just keep on 20-30 until you're like, all right, this stuff works. I'm gonna hire somebody and give them 500 or 1,000 to run my campaigns.
Right.
But you can just start by yourself, but not a lot of people know how to do that as well. Like you mentioned, the offer.
Yeah.
If you're just not doing it correctly and stuff, those money's gonna go down the drain.
Well, that's what I think a lot of business owners, they get confused again on what their offer is. They always think that the service is their offer, and it's not the case. Now, maybe it used to be that way without all of the digital stuff like we have now, and it's kind of transformed itself a little bit. But you know, I'm business owners in general. I think a lot of them, if they weren't born in the digital world, they're playing so much catch up that it's like, it's how do I say what I want to say? It's kind of like a full-grown adult forgetting how to do everything, and then you have to reteach them like as if you were teaching a baby, right?
That's
like
true.
It's like, okay, yeah, you don't know how to walk again. Like you have to restart from here, okay, because this is how certain things are done, and this is how you grab attention. So old ways of doing things in marketing, right? Billboards, TV campaigns, radios, newspapers, magazine ads, a lot of networking events, right? Let me ask you that. What's your stance on networking events? Because I'm in one, like I'm in a networking group, but I have some content coming up about this particular topic. But I want to ask you, like, what's your stance on
it? Matters going to the events, network events, because you meet new people. But now I learned time is very, very important. So now I know that when you go to a networking event and if you see pretty much the same people that you saw and you couldn't close them, or they just don't want anything from you, I just leave. Like I know now that before I leave to one event, I know there's 6 other ones that I can go. So if that one goes and I'm like, I don't feel it, and if people just don't, I'm just gonna leave and go to the next one.
Yeah.
But before, I used to be like trying to talk to everybody, and then I already wasted the time. Nothing happened. Now even better, if you can go to a network event and you can close deals in the event, or close maybe not deals but calls or video calls with that person,
right?
That you're saving your time, because you're building a relationship, brand awareness there, but you're already creating a demand like, hey man, I'm open tomorrow at 8. Are you open? Since I saw that you were really interested, let's make that happen. So you're living with, if you can leave 5 or 10 Zoom calls or calls, you're good. You're not wasting your time, because network events and events itself, they're very important. Yeah. Even the ones that you got to pay. Like I'm
in one too that I pay for. I mean, it's already paid for itself, so that's good. But this is my thing, because mine is about time as well. Because when I go to these events and I ask people like, well, what are you doing to build awareness and, have people discover you, not come in and ask you for your service, but just get to know that you are even out here to help them. Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, I come to a lot of these. Right. And I'm like, okay, how many of these do you do like a week? And like, oh, anywhere like 5 to 6 of these a week. And I'm like, okay, so you spend a lot of time outside of work trying to drum up business. And I say, have you ever thought about making content for yourself? And they're like, what is that? Like, they don't really know what that means. And then I go into explaining it. And the explanation that I usually give them is like making like intentional short form content, sitting down, talking to a camera, putting that up online. That's a lot like how a networking event works. It's working while you're not like it's working while you're at your networking event. Right. Yep. So, like I get a little peeved when people are like, yeah, I don't make content for myself. I come to all these things, and then like they don't understand the value in content. And I'm like, well, it kind of works for you while you're not. Whereas I go to these networking things and I don't get down on myself like that, because I know that I'm making content. So it's like, even if I didn't come to this thing, I have something out there working as if it was a networking event, as if I were at 4 or 5 of these things. And, I have a couple people in like my networking group that they do make content for themselves. This one guy, he's in insurance, he's a health insurance agent. he's got somebody that helps him facilitate and do all of his stuff. And ironically, they started working together like shortly right before I met him. So it was like, man, I missed it by like that. But I always give him his props every time that he's in, because it's like, I see him doing, what a majority of businesses and entrepreneurs aren't doing for themselves and not doing enough of. So, I think that's really good. But like when I see on people's Facebooks and it comes across and it's like, I'm in my 4th networking thing this week, and it's like, you could invest some of that time, some of that effort into having something that works while you don't have to.
Yeah, you're there, like you said, and then I still got my content working, Yeah. So I don't have to worry about it. I'm here and my content is working.
Or other I'll go back to old methods, like you got billboards, stuff like that. Did you know that the average billboard here in the Houston area, I think, is around $3,000 a month?
Yeah.
That's
I was looking at that.
That's what the average billboard for the big one, like the 48 footers or whatever.
Don't they have electronic ones now?
Well, they do. Yeah. Which is good, but you don't get the stagnant, you don't get all of that attention. But, and I have some content coming out about this too. When's the last time you saw a billboard and were like, took an action because of that billboard?
Damn. That's
ever?
Yeah, that's true. No,
I never have. Brand recognition, I think it works for, because it's like, oh, there's Jim Adler.
Yeah.
Jim Adler. I see his thing, so it's like, but he also does the TV and whatever. Oh. But they also now, the Adlers, they do a lot of Facebook stuff. I see all kinds of stuff from them all the time. So they're changing with the times. But I've had people approach me about my services and tell me before I even go into price, before I even do anything, that they were thinking about getting a billboard. And then we get all the way to the end of my process and I give them a price and they're like, that's just too expensive. I could never do that. And I'm like, 2 days ago when we first initially talked, you were thinking about getting a billboard for the month of whatever. What changed? And usually it comes down to not me either. It's usually me, and it's on me of not, I don't want to say selling the value, but having them realize the value of what I can give them. And it always comes back to me and me needing to get better at sales and making them more comfortable with what I'm doing. But I think it's just kind of funny that people have these kind of preconceived notions of what they're going to do. And then you put an alternative in front of them that is up to par, maybe monetarily, right? On the same level. And if not even more, could take them further even more, but they're because it's so unknown that they're just scared to pull the trigger on it. And again, that comes back down to me in sales and getting more comfortable there. But it just baffles me sometimes where it's they tell me what they're going to do, or they tell me what they're struggling with. And I offer those solutions through, conversation, through my packages, through whatever. And they're just like, I just don't see it. And it's just it's really funny to me that, somebody can just make a switch like that, post a conversation.
That's true.
And it's just,
I think as business owners now that when we have meetings and like Zoom or trying to close somebody, I think right at the beginning, we got to start telling them this is the start, $300, whatever,
Sure.
So they can have a mindset.
Sure.
But listening to you, like if you listen to somebody, they'll be like, I wanted this and this. Well, what you want, this is the price, what I can do, customize it. Right. It's going to start for $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
So they can have something, and then you can start explaining why that value is $2,000. Instead of like kind of giving them the value first, I started seeing this because since I'm the one that talks to other people, I'm like, let me put the price first and then give them the value.
Yeah.
Why is that the count of $2,000?
Right.
Then the other way around, because then when you give them that money, oh man, now I think it's too much.
Yeah.
Like the guy that we're going to close in March, I did that.
Yeah.
I told him the beginning and I said this, I listened. And then I asked him again, was the price something that you no, it's not a problem. The price is good. So I was like, okay. But it's things that you have to do with different to see what works.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to work for everybody.
For y'all sales process, what does that typically look like? So for me, my sales process is we go through 3 calls, right? We go, 2 to 3. It just kind of depends on how they kind of enter in talking to me. But I go through what I call a triage call. And that's where we just are basically diagnosing on whether or not a longer conversation is even worth it. True. Where are you at? How much revenue does your business do? Because if you don't do a certain amount, like I can't feasibly work with you because I'm going to be draining, what your business can afford, just based on usually what my prices are going to, relatively be around. But we go through a triage call, and then if they're kind of somewhat qualified, pre-qualified is what I like to call it, I'll sit down with a longer discovery over a Zoom or something like that, and we'll get to know each other more. That call is usually about half an hour, where I don't even go into pricing on that call. It's just I'm literally asking all of my questions on just what do they have going on, what do they envision, what does A look like, what does B look like, and like helping them get from A to B. Like, what's the vehicle look like for them? What's going to make them most comfortable in that? And then we go through a sales call after that, where I will, because I have some cookie cutter packages, and then I can customize them based on what, because if my cookie cutter package doesn't fit what, you envision yourself wanting to do or anything like that, like, no, why would I show you that? Right. So sometimes I have to create and customize stuff for people, but we go through a 3-call sales process. Is that kind of like what you guys do, or is y'all?
It was like that before, but I started seeing that it needs to be shorter. So now, like at the beginning, but it's different. Sometimes it does take 3 different calls with the person that you go through. But some persons, it could take 20 minutes. And right at the beginning, it's like, whoa, you actually found me. And I just go through it. Yeah. You're like, hey, what is it that you really want right now? I want to listen. I'm going to listen. I tell them, I want to listen. What are your pain points? What is the struggle? What is this? And then from there, I just make it easier. So, and then jump in and give them the price. Yeah. The ones that I feel like they are pretty much know what they want and stuff. But when it's harder ones, like this one that I just closed right now, it took me about 8 months. Yeah. But I'm good at the follow-up. Right. I learned that. At the beginning, I sucked that I never follow nobody. Now, dude, I'm following them up more than 7 times. Yeah. But I'm not following them to be like a salesy. I found a way that I'm following them like me, Jesus, the real Jesus Ortiz. And they like that. They tell me, thank you. Because my business, I've been busy, but you are actually following up with me. Yeah. And I like that. And
it doesn't even have to be like business stuff related. Like, because when I have people that like either I'm trying to prospect or whatever, like I'll add them on Facebook as a friend, and like, oh, your daughter's birthday was yesterday. I hope she had a great birthday. Yep. Party looked fun or whatever, right? And then kind of after that, you can kind of lure yourself back into the conversation. But I treat, so like I think where you were kind of saying like needs to be shorter.
But depending on the person.
Well, because like referrals are different. Yeah. Right. A referral, when they come, like you don't have to. Yeah, you need to spend some time in that discovery phase, but 9 times out of 10, the person who's the referral, they're talking to the person they already know. Yeah. They have an idea of price, because they're going to get as much information as they can. So there's like you springing this large dollar amount on them might not be a shock. They might already know, like, yeah, I mean, my friend over here is paying $2,000 a month. Like, I know I might be in that realm. He wouldn't approach me if he knew he wasn't comfortable doing something like that. So yeah, you might not need to do 3 calls or, 2 calls. Maybe you could just do it in one right? Call, but you still have to go through some of that discovery phase and just make sure that, they understand what they're kind of asking about and all of that. But yeah, I actually had like 5 referrals come in the last week. Like That's over good. The weekend, 3 came in, and I have meetings all week with some different people. But man, it's going to be crazy if all of those kind of fall in my lap at the same time. That'll be
That's good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had my best month that I've ever had in January 24. This month will be slightly under it, but just right. I mean, still right there as in terms of like best months. And those were 10K months, and by June, I'm hoping to do a 20K month, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's my kind of goal where I want to be at. Hopefully sustain the 10, and then by June have my first 20, and then do that. 'Cause I'm trying to get my wife out of work, so trying to get her to not have to go back to work after this summer, and help me build our family business, and have more freedom, more time for her, and all of that. So
it will happen. Dude.
It's it will. It's but it's scary.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like,
it's scary. And it's like I was driving right now and I was like, if you don't go through the pains and the struggles of what that level and you quit, you're never gonna know what's gonna happen next. Yeah. So you really have to go through the pain. You're gonna have to go through it. Either, you know, you're losing a lot of things, either you're about to close down because you don't see something. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you quit that time, you're going to keep on quitting all the time. So you're never going to know what's the next level. So you have to pivot and find a way around it. Even if it hurts and even if it's like, damn, I don't know. You have to find a way.
Yeah.
You have to find a way.
Yeah.
It's like us, we've been here for a year, but we have a lot of experience. But now we're seeing the demand of other people now finding us.
Yeah.
Because imagine it's just a year and 3 months. Mm-hmm. And this March is going to be really good too. Yeah. So it's like people finding us, imagine here in 6 months. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be unbelievable. Yeah. A lot of things because we just find those points that like, okay, just got to keep on through it and pivot.
Yep. Yep. So kind of going back to content a little bit, what are some of the industries that you think most benefit, would most benefit from like going all in on like content, video content primarily? Content? Like for me, I see it as, so anything that's kind of like a gated industry. So like, and that's the reason why I'm kind of going after like insurance agents, right? Like you can't just go shop your own insurance as a consumer. You have to get with somebody that has to kind of do it for you, right? Real estate, you know, realtors and stuff is kind of in that same realm. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. I mean, you guys talk to a lot of different people. You guys work with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
So and what do you think benefits from
We've been seeing
content?
A lot of people from the mostly real estate investors, like brokers.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones that have the money for it.
Okay.
And they have the need for it. And we seeing a lot of the health and wellness.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they're coming in here and from them, you know, getting referrals, spiritual, all of that stuff that is around it. That's why I like sit down and I'm like, whoa, this is most of the clients that come to us, not only from referrals, but from other people telling them about it. So I'm like, that realm, I know that realtors, you know, you go to them and they're like, oh, they never have money or they just want to pay you, they're cheap. But there's some of them that they want to create content that but they don't know or they haven't heard from you. Sometimes it's our fault for not, you know, being out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, anything that's like sales or commission based as well, like, because you have to have people know who you are to attention. You can hit the phones and do all that. And that should be a part of your, you know, your maybe your day to day or, you know, whatever your schedule is, but you know, you got to have something, going back to what I said earlier, you got to have something working while you're not working on it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what content is. Like it's going all of the time, no matter what. Yep. And if you have that consistently going, then
it's like right now, I tell people we're doing podcasts and now there's sometimes that me and Miguel are doing podcasts. I'm having a live video streaming on StreamYard. Yeah. We're going live while we're doing here, but it's going live and it's getting attention.
Right.
That's another way. But a lot of people don't understand. Oh, you're going live. When I do that, people think I'm going live at that moment. And I'm like right there in the comments. And they don't read because I put in the description, this was last Tuesday so people can know. I actually let them know.
Yeah.
But people still don't read and they think it's right. But sometimes I like that because they're like, they put a lot of engagement on it. But it makes sense because now I got short videos out there. Now I got a live video that I'm not even in the live while I'm doing work. So and a lot of people are telling that stuff works. And now you can be at a network event while all of this thing
everything is going on.
It's working. Yeah. So and after you finish everything, you go back and check everything, and you might get 5-6 people that might be interested, and you just follow them back. And that's where the value's at. That's where I'm seeing that now, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna charge them this and add this. Or now I see it like the news. I can actually have people send Panorama their podcast, and I can actually run them live while they're doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So people know like, oh, that's their podcast, but they're seeing it on our network. Mm-hmm. So now they're building awareness from our people.
Right.
And that's another way to get money.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that people don't see it, or like they said, they ask or they think it's a lot. But if you can find ways that like, all right, you don't want to pack it or this, well, we can just do this. And it won't hurt us because it's easy. I don't have to do anything. Just click it and it's on at whatever time they need to, just like infomercials.
Right. So aside hiring somebody like you guys, myself or whatever, what kind of advice do you have for people out there who know they need to get started making video content? Like, what would be like a system that you would say, like, step 1, 2, 3, and 4? Like, what would be that advice
for them to start?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I always tell the people, like, you don't need to go out there and buy an expensive camera. You don't need none of that. You have a phone.
Mm-hmm.
That phone already is 4K, maybe 20, 4K, 30, 4K, 60. Just start. And I always tell them, sometimes I tell them, I send them a little list like, hey, look, Amazon, it's a little mic, maybe 15, 20 bucks. That's it. A little $15 tripod. And you start from home. And it might not what you want because you see what you see over there.
Right.
But it's a start. So now people are going to have you building your brand and your attention to people that are like, oh, this person never did a live or did a video or something. Like, now you're doing it at home. And even if you have your own office, do it at your office.
Yeah.
Then when you're ready and you feel like you need to move and scale up and you're like, I got to go to the next level, then we can sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Then we can customize something. It doesn't have to be too big, but we can hit right there in the middle. And then from there on, it's a long-term game.
Yeah.
We can just start changing it.
You said it right there, like it being a long-term game. The first thing that I tell people is you have to be in an investment mindset with it. You can't look at it as, how is this going to benefit me tomorrow or a month from now? I mean, like I said before, like even inside of 90 days, like if you have that mentality and that's what you're looking at, like the quick fix or whatever, then it's not going to work for you at all. And the second thing that I usually tell people is planning. Planning saves you so much time. Some people will say like, well, do I write a script or whatever? Because scripting is scary to some people.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, for me, the way that I do mine, like I will type out a script of what I think I want to say. Does it ever come out that way? No. Sometimes I'll just do bullet points and like keep like a skeleton structure of the things that I want to do. But I will go just to at least get it out. I'll even sit there and I'll type it out verbatim how I think it should sound. Right now, does that take a little bit more time?
Yeah.
Yes, but I get my thoughts out. I get everything down on something tangible that tells me like, oh no, that sounds stupid, or like this, that, or the other, which kind of goes away from what you were saying, like just start, because it's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be
right at
perfect.
the beginning.
No.
But you at least can become a soundboard for yourself.
Yes.
If you type it out like verbatim how you would want to say it, but just don't hold yourself to trying to get it out that way, because if you're sitting in front of a camera and you've never really done it before, then if it comes off, then you get a little, or if it comes off not the way that you planned it, you get a little like, oh, that wasn't right. And then you get in your own head and then you're like, was this even worth it? What am I doing? You start floundering, right? But I think planning, and then most importantly, batching is what I would tell newbies to batch. Like batching is you spend a couple of hours, one day a month, just creating everything that you've planned right now. Where I see for my clients, most of their biggest struggle is it's not necessarily planning it. It's not necessarily sitting down and shooting it. It's what comes after, putting it together. It's the editing. It's the distribution to a degree, but mostly in the editing, because like you said, we're so spoiled with what we see as these like high quality edits and all of this stuff. And that's what everybody wants for themselves right off the bat. But you can't expect yourself to have that right off the bat unless you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And most people aren't, to be truthful, but I think the ones that are willing to pay for it and really understand from that investment mindset how it's going to benefit them later, I think that's just what's going to have more people have success with it, not get burnt out by it, not get feeling like it's a waste of time or a waste of money or a waste of an investment. They have to look at it like, even if nothing happens from this, I'm okay. Right? Like, because when you're in that mindset, not like necessarily forgetting about it or like setting it and forgetting it, but like, it's like how God works for you, dude. Like when you're least expecting it, it's like you get that letter in the mail or you get, whatever it is. And I think that's what's
important there. Sorry about to cut you.
No, yeah.
Because we always forcing things. That's when nothing happens.
Yeah.
I saw me and Miguel seen it. Oh, dude, this was gonna happen, but we forced it, and it never happened.
Yeah.
So we let that go. Now that we don't force it, things are actually coming because it's him. He's making that chess move.
Yeah.
So now we're both making the chess move because it's his timing. We didn't force it. It came. It just came from
And that's
them.
for whatever God that you believe in.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm not saying our
what,
Christian God, whatever.
Whatever it is that you believe.
Even if you don't believe in an entity, like that's how space and time works, right? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I didn't grow up being a really religious person, right? Mm-hmm. My wife actually got me into church and where we're at now, and I'm about to start working for my church. Like, they're gonna hire me to do some social media stuff,
that's
whatever.
Good.
So, I've gotten a lot more involved in church, and I understand more how that not forcing it and waiting and being patient and
you still got to take action even if you
of course
that's what people don't get sometimes it's just gonna wait for God and have patience. No, you still got to take action. It's like when I pray, I tell guys like I'm praying for this and I know I want this and this and that, but guess what, I still got to take action on A, B, C, and D so you can make that happen. I'm just not gonna hit here, send me the 10K a month. Come on, man. And there's a lot of people that they do.
Does not work like
I see a lot of people that they pray and pray and then they get mad and I don't believe in anything. It doesn't happen. I'm like, because you're not taking action. It's not going to happen. Crazy people out there. It used to be me. That's how I used to be me this time back in the day.
Yeah, I used to be that way too. I would just sit back and wait for the phone to ring.
It's
like,
not gonna happen.
Somebody needs my services, whatever.
Someone's gonna knock on your door.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that way. You have to go out. You have to find it. You have to work for it.
And you got to make sure you like the stuff that you're doing as well.
True.
Like sometimes people fight about passion and stuff like that. It's okay. It's a passion of yours because you like it. It makes you happy. Unlike us, I'm not complaining about it anymore. Like when I used to have a job. Oh man, it's Friday. I don't want to go. Oh, it's Monday. Now I don't even know the days.
Right.
I just
living
in it because it's something that you love. I'm making an impact that it's greater than what we know.
Yeah.
And the impact is just like, oh man, it feels good.
Yeah.
On the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
See it as you're making a great impact on what you're doing. Because it is. You have a business. It's an impact that you're doing. We're helping people or businesses. Yeah. B2B. So it's an impact that you're doing and it's creating demand for everybody. And it's not for everybody.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of business, business types where it's like, I just don't think content and my services is something that will benefit you. Especially like I've had people who are like, yeah, I want to do some stuff to help my marketing and do more video stuff, but I don't want to be on camera. Like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay, do you have a pivot for that? Do you have somebody that is willing to do that? Because without something on the other, like I can come in and fly around the room with my gimbal and my camera and like showcase your guy's metal fabrication shop or whatever. But like, if that guy won't turn to the camera and talk to me or get somebody up there to do it, like, what are we doing? We're just showcasing some pretty visuals. Like,
that's it.
We're not doing anything. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a wild ride. I think 24 is going to be a great year for myself. Yeah, I hope for you guys as well. Dude. Hopefully we'll do a lot more continued business together as well.
Oh, definitely. I see it, dude. It's just like people get so caught up with the outside. Yeah. Election days, inflation. All the stuff has been here since centuries. All of that stuff is going to happen. Just create your own reality, create your own happiness, your own smile, and just go for it, man. Stop looking and hearing the out noise.
Yeah.
Because you hear it and you let it come in on you, then that's when you start like everybody else. Oh my God, this and this and this. No, man, don't worry about that. You worry about you, your family. And I was worried about you first. People that we're trying to do so many things for everybody. You got to put your mask on first. If I want to help you, if I want to help my daughter.
That's why they say it on the planes, right?
Yeah, I got to help me first so I can actually help everybody else and put a little bit of seed on everybody so everybody can actually grow.
Yeah. Ironically, I learned stuff like that when I was like 12. Like, I learned a lot of those life lessons really early.
Yeah.
And I didn't have like a hard childhood. That's what's funny. Is like I just learned it because I was a shy kid. I just learned it by like observing. And it's
observing,
like you just have to understand how to maneuver through this life. And I think that's what plays a lot of factor in people's stress and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
It does. But that's good. That means a lot too, because a lot of us went through a lot of things when we were young. A lot of people don't have a mom or a dad or lose something. Yep. But that's like I didn't have that. But my observing was that everybody around me was like doctors and they were all making money. So I was just observing, like, how did they do this? Why do they have this big house?
Yeah.
Why are they buying me these things? You know, like they will spoil me when I was little, but I understand now that, oh man, you got to work for it as well.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, and us teaching our kids, it's not about giving it to them. It's about teaching them every single thing. It's like, yeah, we have it. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go give them $500. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, how can you earn this? Mm-hmm. I always talk to this about my daughters. Like, how can you earn things? What are you learning right now? What is it that you want to push out that it's your passion that you're starting to like right now? And she gives me A and B. And I was like, well, let's work on that.
Yeah.
And you can earn from that at a young age. Yeah. But a lot of parents don't do that. They give everything to the kids. Yeah. That's why you see when you go to the mall, spoiled, screaming, oh no, or they fall and they just bleed a little bit. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. No, man, you got to let them fall. Mm-hmm. You got to, my daughter falls. When she's here with me, she falls. She knows that I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you're okay.
Oh no.
No, she gets back up.
I'll with my kids, like, I'll be like, let me see that. Okay. And then I'll do that and be like, you know, and I'm like, no, did that hurt? That's not bad, right? Like,
but it's funny because...
And then they're like, oh, okay, no, I'm good. And I'm like, see, you're freaking out for nothing.
She does it to me when she comes and visits me and we go out and play at the jumping things. And I'm tired and I just lay down on the thing. She comes to me and say, yeah, we still got to keep on going.
Momentum. It's momentum.
It's momentum.
Yeah, it's the same thing with content. Like, you stop it, you're going to stop forever. And
I don't even know how I reach up to my body, be like, I got to use the 5% of me. Let's go.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty about life, man. The moments, the experiences, the good ones, the bad ones, the hell ones.
Yeah.
You got to live out through that shit. And I love it. When I fail and I do that, dude, I even talk about it. Damn, I failed it. I lost my car. And everybody's like, but I'm like, who cares? I'm going to go through. I'm going to get back up. I'm like, it's just a part of that seat that went in there in my life, on that line, on that timeline.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that depression is a part of everybody's life. Even if you're not diagnosed with depression, like, but it's different for everybody. Some people it's a couple hours where they feel like crap.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a week. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a month. Sometimes it's a year where they go through those depressive states. But what I've learned about depression is that at the end of the day, you have to kind of pull yourself out of it.
That's
like,
true.
Yes, you want to have people around you that are positive and everything, but until you actually take that in, it's, no, we're good. But yeah, man, I appreciate everything. And
this was good.
Yeah.
And this is, before we finish, it's funny because when me and Miguel sit down here, since we know what we want to talk about, we don't prepare it, but it's good when you do have something like this.
Yeah.
Because it goes
smooth.
Because sometimes we sit down here and we go for it and we don't.
We talked about everything that I wanted to talk about today.
And we looked at the footage and we're like, oh man, you're right. If we have the bullet points or something similar to that, we can actually have a good talk like this for an hour. And it's good footage that I can put.
You guys need to get a TV right there on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And just cast it there and then just.
Yeah, no, we thought, and we're going to put like a timing as well.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying you could just cast it from your computer and boom, you're done.
That's true. Because a lot of people have been asking, hey, we need the time and stuff. And I was like, you too. We're going to find a watch and put it there.
There you go, man. Well, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Dude.